Hello, my fellow meatbags. Welcome back to my channel. I had fun doing that little video response to Braxton Hunter's 10 questions, and I'm feeling like these kinds of response reacts videos can be done pretty quickly on the back end, which I mean they don't require scripting. At least I'm not going to script the ones I'm going to do, and they don't require much editing. So the really big time sinks that are involved with this aren't there. So I figured maybe I could do some of these and get some production out. And just for starters, I'm going to pick some really low-hanging fruit here. This is a guy who's got fewer subscribers than I do. He posted this video to his channel over the summer. It's one of these sort of 5 questions things. I've given it a quick look, but I haven't scripted anything, so I'm kind of doing this on the fly, but with a little bit of preparation. I will put a link to his video below. If you go over to his channel, I would just ask that you interact with him politely and respectfully. Show him we're the better angels of human nature. Anyway, so let's get on with this. If this works well, I'll probably do some more of these. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to what he has to say.
A while back I was in a discussion with an atheist online.
That's good.
I asked him some questions.
Did you now?
The first one I asked him was, are you an animal? And he said that he was, and so was I, and did I have a problem with that? I do.
Well, of course, animal in this sense is just a taxonomic designation. It's a way to classify biological organisms, and basically we have plants and animals that are biological organisms. So in that very broad category, yes, of course we're animals. We meet all the criteria that make us animals and not plants. He is obviously bringing some more connotations to the word animal into this that I'm sure his atheist interlocutor does not share. But let's go on.
But going with your idea that you're an animal, I have a question for some of you atheists and evolutionists, especially the atheists maybe.
Okay, now again here he's conflating the ideas of evolutionism and atheism. He's clearly thinking that all atheists are evolutionists and only evolutionists are atheists, but clearly there's a huge number of theists and Christians definitely who are also accepting of the fact of biological evolution. I mean, the Catholic Church accepts that. The single largest denomination of Christians, although some people, maybe this guy or maybe not, doesn't think that they are Christians, but the single largest denomination of Christians in the world accepts the fact of evolution.
If you're an animal, here's the questions I have. Is killing animal...
So his whole set of questions is predicated on the idea of humans being animals with the connotations that he's bringing into it.
It's wrong. I mean, we kill animals all the time to eat. Well, if we're an animal too...
So of course he's going down a slippery slope fallacy here. Some atheists do think that killing animals is wrong. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's the ethical vegan movement that's very popular among some atheist circles right now. So some people would say it's wrong for us to kill other animals, even for food and nourishment. I don't personally quite buy that. I think if we do kill animals, we should do it as humanely as possible because we know that animals suffer. And honestly, we're technologically at the point where we could have vat-grown meat. It's not at an industrial level yet, but we certainly have the technology to do that kind of thing, and we're moving into that. And I would be quite happy for many reasons to switch to our meat production being industrially vat-grown as opposed to ranched and farmed. It's environmentally far better. The size of the farms, animal farms that we have, are wreaking a certain amount of havoc on the environment, and not having that would be fantastic. But I don't think it's ethically wrong to kill animals to eat them, personally.
Brings up some slippery slopes, doesn't it?
See, slippery slope is a fallacy, my friend. It's not a feature.
Slippery slope. Cats are believed to kill other animals, sometimes purely for fun. Do you advocate here and now the total extinction of cats?
Now, of course, this is just a ridiculous thing to say. Cats are predatory carnivores. They need to be able, or in the wild, in any case, they need to be able to hunt to survive. So, as an evolutionary benefit, what they've done is they have developed the behavior of play that mimics their hunting. They will stalk, they will pounce. You can see little kittens doing this sort of thing because it's a survival thing. Cats are also not agents, thinking agents that we would classify as something we would look at to make moral determinations about. They aren't, to the best of our understanding, aware on that level of doing things right and wrong in the same sense that we would think of doing things right and wrong. They're amoral beings, entities, as far as we can tell right now. So we don't bring moral judgment on them for killing animals, even if they do it for fun, which really is them exercising their predatory instincts. Really, morality only applies when you have creatures, thinking agents, at a certain level of sentience where they are aware of morality the way we think of it. I mean, there are some animals, there are certainly primates, and I think dogs, that have proto ethics, proto morals. They empathize with each other, they understand concepts of fairness, but they aren't developed to the point where we would think of them as moral agents, the way we think of other human beings as moral agents. So, I mean, it's just a ridiculous argument to be making.
If not, what about Nazis? They killed many, and not for fun, but for what they claimed was a good reason. So then are you saying that they were justified?
You know, they always got to go to the Nazis, really. I don't know why people do this all the time. I know why they do it, because it's an easy target. That's why they do it. And honestly, World War II and Nazism is such a pervasive component of modern human culture. That whole war was a seminal event that really impacts and influences us to this day, almost 100 years later now. They are the quintessential villains in many ways. Were they justified in what they did? It's an interesting philosophical question and worth discussing. I would say no, for a lot of different reasons. I mean, there certainly are situations where you can justify acts like that. Not like that specifically. We certainly can justify killing someone, like in self-defense or something like that. So just the act of killing another human being isn't necessarily an immoral thing to do. I mean, the thing about the Christian mindset here is everything is just so black and white, and that's not the real world. So, back to his specific question, were the Nazis justified? No. First of all, they took those acts based on false beliefs and propaganda and fallacious prejudices. Demonstrably, so let's say the argument basically was back then, if we get rid of the Jews, we're helping German culture, we're improving German culture, we're improving German society, we're making the country stronger and better. Clearly, that didn't happen because Germany was destroyed by the war and incredibly vilified because of how they treated the Jews. So clearly, all the acts that the Nazis took were incorrect in respect to the goal of improving Germany and improving the lives of German citizens and improving Germany as a country, making it stronger, making it more secure. clearly the thoughts and decisions that the Nazis had were detrimental to the goal that they stated. So they were objectively wrong in what they did and not justified in what they did. And the beliefs about Jews being dangerous or whatever was all based on lies and propaganda and prejudice, unfounded prejudice. So, no, my friend, they weren't justified.
Question number 2.
Oh, that was only one question. Cats and Nazis in one question. That's a lot.
Question number 2. There are different species of canine. Wolves are much more strong in every area than, say, Chihuahuas. So according to you, which ethnicity of human is the strongest overall?
This is just the dumbest thing to say. Seriously. First of all, dog breeds and human ethnicities are not equivalents, comparisons. Second of all, there is no human ethnicity that's stronger than any other. I don't know why. I do know why he would think that, because he doesn't understand what evolution is about or what evolution means, and he's making all kinds of just absolutely ridiculous assertions and assumptions here that are hardly even worth addressing.
You may divert by claiming each has their strengths and weaknesses, and certain ethnicities are more specialized in certain locations.
No, I wouldn't say that at all. That's not a diversion, because I wouldn't say that.
So tell me, within the United States, which ethnicity is more suitable, or the favored race, as Charles Darwin put it?
Okay, here we go. When Charles Darwin used the phrase the favored race, he was not talking about the different human races. He was talking about different species of organisms as a very broad category. This is clearly a lack of education on his part about what Darwin wrote, and he's just regurgitating the anti-evolution propaganda that's out there.
This is all according to your idea.
No, it's not according to my idea. It's according to your misunderstanding of Charles Darwin.
Question number 3.
3.
Current belief regarding the universe is that it is spreading out.
That's not belief, that's measurable, demonstrable fact.
The Bible repeatedly states that it is stretching out, or has been stretched out. If the Bible was not given by inspiration of God, how did ancient man know this?
They didn't know it. They were using a phrase because they had a completely different understanding of the universe than we did. They saw the earth as a flat plane with a fixed dome overhead, so when it's stretched out, it's like stretched out like cloth or like canvas. I mean, it's a piece of figurative language. Nothing in the Bible is anywhere near specific enough to say that they were referencing the expansion of the universe. That's just not what was going on.
Question 4.
4.
How did the Bible get it right that there are springs of the sea?
What? I like the voiceover, buddy. Again, it's a figure of speech. I know what he's referencing here.
When this was not discovered until 1965 with the advent of deep sea vehicles.
See, let's say, for argument's sake, that this was actually an accurate description of the thing he's comparing it to, because it almost certainly isn't. But let's say it was. Let's say whoever it is that wrote Job, which again is poetry, not science. Job was like an epic poem of the time. It's not science. It was the writers wrestling with questions about why awful things happen to good people. It's a question that has haunted humanity for probably as long as we've existed. Lots of ancient literature talk about that kind of a struggle and trying to parse it and understand it and come to grips with it. Why the forces of nature can seem so random. Why so bad things can just happen to people. Anyway, there'll be a jump cut in here.
Question number
5. Bam.
Animals
Lay it on
often
me.
force other animals into sex.
Yes?
We do not kill or punish these acts. Please explain
No.
why, if Darwinian evolution is true, why one person raping another is wrong.
Biological evolution and morality are two separate questions. They're not related to each other in any way. Except for the fact that we evolved moral senses and ethical ideas. We are a social species. We need to live in communities. We've evolved to live in communities because there was a survival advantage to that. We empathize with our fellow human beings, with other sentient animals, not just ourselves, but with, dogs and cats and other animals that we keep around us. We empathize with them and with other human beings. We can see that someone else is in pain. So we tend to not want to do things to put other people in pain. We also respect the idea of bodily autonomy. There's the very simple idea of understanding that if you live in a society where it's okay for people to rape other people, you could be on the receiving end of that, and we don't want that. It makes for unstable societies, and the whole reason we evolved morals and ethics was to create more stable societies. I phrased that poorly because we didn't intentionally evolve them, but morals and ethics evolved as a function of the species having a survival advantage, having more stable and secure societies. Morality is just a really complicated question, and there's a lot to talk about, and it's not as black and white as this guy wants to make it, and it's got nothing to do with evolution.
If we are simply animals.
Again, simply animals. He is implying a lot of meaning in the word animal that's not there. Animal just means we meet the qualifications for a biological distinction that makes us different from plants. That's it.
Your myth of evolution has caused a lot of problems.
It's not a myth, it's a fact. Sorry. And people have caused problems. Evolution hasn't caused problems.
And has been the excuse of many criminals. Jeffrey Dahmer, the Nazis.
The Nazis didn't use evolution as an excuse to do anything.
I think Mao Zedong.
He thinks Mao. Again, this is ridiculously oversimplifying very complex dynamics. If you ever read about things like the communist revolutions in China, the purges, and the rise of Nazism, and all the forces that were involved in that, there's so many complicated social dynamics going on. Part of it was anti-Semitism that has been around basically as long as the Jews have been around. There was the fallout from World War I. There was the brutality of the Versailles Treaty. There's so much that went into the rise of Nazism. Just to point at evolution and saying it's evolution's fault is hopelessly reductionist.
Pol Pot. These are fair questions to ask if your myth were true.
These are fair questions to ask. Maybe.
Then these would be great questions to apply to it.
Okay, now he just goes on to do an altar call. So we're going to stop the video here. Anyway, those are my thoughts. This is not the best 5 questions video you could hope to get. Trust me on that. There are better ones out there, and I think I will at some point tackle some better ones. we'll see what happens. We'll see how well this video goes over. Anyway, thanks all you meatbags for watching. I appreciate your viewership and your support. Again, if you do go by his channel, be nice. I don't think I was particularly nasty in this. Maybe I was a little tongue-in-cheek at some points. We'll see how this goes over. I'm experimenting. I'm working on this. Anyway, thank you all for swinging by. As always, be kind to one another, and we'll see you in the next one.